onto either side to, stretch that out. So do another horizon line. Okay, and then I want to do a tall. Are you imagining it vertical or horizontal? Greta, are you imagining a stack vertical or horizontal?
Vertical.
Okay. So let's just make it as long as my ruler here will let me.
If you're drawing something, the camera's pointed at you.
Oh, no. Okay. Thank you for saying that. Well, luckily you haven't missed anything yet. Hold on. I always forget to reshare. No, that's not it. Okay, well, you haven't missed anything, but thank you for saying that. So I've got a tall vertical shape that I'm going to cut away from. Do you want me to make it smaller, like thinner, or is this okay?
I think I might understand better if you keep it that big.
This big, okay. So we're going to pick some different points to basically cut slices out of it. So maybe it's going to feel like 4 boxes by the time we're done. So I'm just kind of thinking maybe like halfway, I'll take one out. And what's maybe even more important to me is keeping like the width that I cut it the same. Okay, so these points, each of these spacing points is basically something I'm going to cut out of this. So everywhere I made a point, I'm going to go back to the vanishing point. So this is now going to be an open space. So is this. So is that. Okay, are you with me so far?
Yes.
So I'm a huge advocate of drawing everything as if it were see-through, but I just don't think it's necessary in this case. Because I think if you understand perspective even a little bit, you can understand that we're looking down. Here's the horizon line, right? So we're looking down on this opening on the top of this box, but we're not going to see underneath that one, right? And we're looking down on the top of this box, but we can't see under this. But up here, we are going to see the bottom of this box, not the top of that one, right? So we need to understand that because we need to finish certain boxes, the ones that are going to disappear, behind the other one. So if I erase this, I've got this kind of unfinished shape. And to finish it, I need to draw the corner of this square back until I disappear behind that box. And back until I disappear behind that box. Same thing here, but I'm getting closer to the horizon line, so the angle is going to be quite different. This is going to disappear just kind of a little awkwardly, but like right behind it, awkward enough that I actually might even draw this box a little bit lower to help that. You know what I mean? Like sometimes things just don't look right. Even though you didn't do anything wrong, it's just not a nice look because it was not a great proximity to the horizon line. So nothing wrong with it, but I think it just reads better, if you don't have that happen. If it's a little clearer. I don't think I moved it such a small amount that I don't think it will have any bearing on how you perceive the spacing. But, at that angle, that close to the horizon line, a very small amount can, it can make a difference. And when you shade it, you'll explain that as well. And then up here, so what do you think as you watch that, Greta?
That makes more sense.
Yeah. And I think it's relatively easy.
And could you just possibly show how you would draw boxes that were to be like next to it rather than like stacking up, like stacking horizontally
Stacking
as well?
out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I want to use this box and I'll go forward and backward with it. So I'm just going to use the dimensions of the pre-existing box to give myself that forward and backward kind of channel that everything's going to sit on. A little longer ruler would probably help me here. And I don't know if I need that. I'm not sure if I need that line or not, so I'm not going to draw, but this would be the fourth line, right? The fourth point to connect. So now to move them forward and backward, what I need to think about again is the spacing. If I want to stick with kind of similar spacing, I'll probably take a look at what the spacing was right here and repeat that spacing there. And for each space after that, I'll probably go a little bit bigger. Now there is, I mean, I don't want to go too far off topic, but there is actually a way to know exactly how big these are supposed to be if we weren't spacing them. So if we had, let's say like, I'm going to do it off of this one real quick. If I have this box and I want to know like the very next box next to it exactly in perspective how much smaller would this get, what I would need to do is find the halfway point, draw a line back to the vanishing point, and then this bottom of the box, this point is important. You'll go from the corner through this through this center point, and wherever you land is your next box. Then you go from that corner through that center point, and wherever you land is the next box again. Then you could go from that corner through that center point and get the next box. So this can be really helpful, but you've got to understand that for every box you do, you didn't leave the space. So you have to add, slightly smaller spaces each time to make that work. Does that make sense? So in some instances, I think that does make sense to worry about. And in others, I feel that maybe it's not that helpful. So do with that what you will, but we could also do the same thing going forward, right? We could see where that line landed us and it would give us the next bigger size, and then the next bigger size again, going all the way off the paper. So if you want to eyeball it or not eyeball it, and use that technique, I think either way is probably okay until you get to where you want things to be really technical. So, another compromise on that same approach, if I wanted to figure out how big should this next box be, but I don't know how to handle that little space in between, and maybe I don't want to cut away from it because this feels so distinctively like a long rectangle that I don't want to mess with that, I guess. What I could do is I could draw that halfway point, shoot it all the way out. And why didn't we have to worry about all this when we were going up and down? Because they were all the same size. It was all vertical. And then I could do that little trick we just talked about where you go from the corner through the middle. I could see where that lands me, and then take that whole measurement and just shift it down, So I just kind of like added the space in, but I still got it technically the right next width. And then, imagining that, what would the next size bigger of this box be, way further down? It would need to be larger than that. So, an educated guess might be something like this. And whoa, look how crooked I'm able to make my lines if I don't line them up with anything. It's pretty bad. I really struggle with that in perspective drawings. I feel like normally I can make a straight line, but something about all those angles it's very disorienting for me. Okay, so we've got those, whether you want to, how technical you want to get with that, doesn't matter, but here's a space, here's a space. Here's a space that absolutely needs to be smaller than this space. So I'll make it here. And then the next square definitely needs to be smaller than this dimension. So, go shorter than that, maybe here. You know, and there's nothing that says that your spaces have to be uniform either. I mean, you could say, oh, well, I had big boxes and small boxes all put together and spaced differently. And if you increase the randomness of it, I don't think anyone's gonna, you know, question that either. But I think you have to kind of, if you get close, but you really mess it up, then it sort of stands out more. You know, if we're looking at it and we just go, oh, that's not right. All right, so let's stop there, although we could go on as long as we wanted and as small as we wanted, and it would really continue on, you know, forever and wrap around the horizon. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4.5 boxes, and each of those boxes has these points that will have to go to the vanishing point. So this box will connect here and then disappear off the page. But if I were to draw this box, I would actually be drawing this in 1 point perspective, because the angle on the other side would have to go to that vanishing point as well, if that makes sense. So as it passes in front of that point, it will be a 1 point perspective box. This next one, this space rather, go like this till it gets to that same shared back edge of the box. And this is again where I'm going to see this, the inside of this, not that. So I know I need to connect this line. Now what if you accidentally connect this line? What happens? Well, nothing. It's just something you'll have to go back and erase, because it's still a line that's there. You would see it if your box was see-through. You know, it would look like this. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not going to show up in your finished drawing. Unless you do transparency, which I think would be very cool. Do some see-through boxes. Okay, this one is finished for us because this is the space. So, you know, we would not see this stuff. Right? There wouldn't be a line here, but we would see all this space in there. This next one. And we're looking for a line that I believe we cannot see. Remember, it disappears back behind here, so this is just going to kind of end and disappear behind the box. This one we are looking for that corner, and this is another kind of unfortunate thing where it's going to end right there, and I'm actually going to lean my pencil and fake it a little bit so it ends this way over a little bit instead. So these spaces are starting to get quite thin. And then I need this corner to go back to the vanishing point. This goes back to the vanishing point. I can erase some of these other little lines. And I think you're done. So did that make sense, Greta, or anybody?
Yes, it makes more sense. I just had one quick other question.
Go ahead.
You kept talking about transparency. How would we go about painting that? Like, is there a certain type of paint we need to buy, or?
The matte medium, I think I listed it as an optional supply. Would you like me to get it and show you? I think I have it right here. So this actually says glazing medium. I'll hold this up.